in Wi-Fi problems. But I hope that we're all good to go here. I know that things are starting to move. And please do grab a greeting, offer a greeting to others on your way in. It's wonderful to see you streaming in. If you're joining us here on Zoom, please leave a note. If you're joining us on YouTube, please do subscribe or like so that you and others have an easier time finding us. There we go. It's nice to see everybody on this beautiful spring morning as here on the second day of May. We wish one another Boker Tov, welcome to Boker Tov from Temple Sinai. Temple Sinai Congregation of Toronto's daily opportunity to connect, to reflect, and to remember. Good morning to all. Good morning to Anne and Deborah and Ricky and Sandra and Annette and Anita and Eleanor and Paul and all who are with us today. It's really wonderful to have this time together. It's been quite a week, lots to say. So let's just dive right into our prayers, which do start with gratitude. And so let's begin with these words of Asher Yatzal for the gratitude to be here and be awake and be functioning this morning. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhmah u'bara vo nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim galui v'yadua lifnei chisech vodecha she'im yipatech echad mehem o yisatem echad mehem אי-אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. And let's continue with our prayer for that spirit, for the inspired soul, which means breathed in. It is breathed into us if we just make space for it. The soul that you have given me, O God, is a pure one. You have created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as my soul is within me, I will give thanks to you, eternal my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. We praise you, eternal God, in whose hand is the power of all life and the spirit of all flesh. And let's join together in this prayer for Torah study, for learning, for that Jewish value of learning and growing every day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. וערבנה אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור. These are the obligations whose value cannot be measured. They nourish us in this world and help us to create the world to come. Kibud av va'em, to honor fathers and mothers. Ugmilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. Bashkamat bet midrash shacharit v'arvit, to attend the house of study morning and evening. V'achnasat ochim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikul cholim, to visit the sick. V'hachnasat kala, to provide for brides and grooms. Ulvayat hamed, to keep faith with the dead. V'yun tefillah, to pray with sincerity. V'hava'at shalom ben adam u'chavero, to make peace when there is strife. V'talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all. Well, let us continue with Baruch She'amar, and let's join together in Psalm 23, a psalm that celebrates the beauty of the growing world, as well as Nevertheless, sometimes the personal or emotional or moral darkness in which we might have to walk through this beautiful world. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who speaks that we might listen. Blessed is the one who acts that we might be witnesses. Baruch hu u'baruch shemo. Blessed is the one who decides that we might accept. Blessed is the one who has mercy that we might live. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. Blessed is the one who removes the darkness that we might see. Blessed is the one who lives forever that we might believe. Blessed is the one who saves and delivers that we might be redeemed. And so let us, as we said, continue with those ancient words of prayer, Mizmor LeDavid, a psalm of David. With the Eternal as my shepherd, I shall want for nothing. I will lie down in a beautiful pasture. As I am led along restful waters, my soul will be restored. I will be guided along the paths of righteousness, serving God's higher purpose. Adonai roi lo echsal. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil when you are with me. Your strength and your support comfort me. When facing my enemies, your protection stretches out before me, sustaining mind and body. Adonai roi lo echsal. Only goodness and mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. I will live in God's presence for the rest of my days. And in the spirit of living in God's presence, let's affirm that unitary presence, that oneness. As we are individuals, we may feel God's presence at different times and in different ways, but God is one that unites us with others, with them through the divine presence, and gives us the opportunity for our people, for our world, all to be one, if only we can focus on making it so. Please join me. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol Levavecha Uvechol Nafshecha Uvechol Meodecha Ve'ayu Advarim Ha'ele Asher Anochi Metzavcha Hayom Al Levavecha Veshinantam Levanecha V'dibarta Bam V'shivtecha b'vetecha, u'velechtecha v'derech, u'v'shochpecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam la'ot al yadecha, v'ayu letotafot ben enecha, u'chtabtam al mezuzot betecha, u'v'isharecha. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, אחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Well, it has been an incredibly consequential week. And in response to this week, my message today is this is the wrong time for inaction or indifference. It's that simple. This is the wrong time for inaction or indifference. That two major events that took place this week included the Canadian election and its results, which I'll speak briefly about in a moment. And not only was it Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, Israeli Memorial Day and Independence Day, but an event took place on Memorial Day, a day that's supposed to unify Israelis more than any other day. And that really needs to be a wake-up call for us with some decision making we're doing in days ahead. So first of all, the election happened on Monday, and we have a new liberal, just barely minority government. And Temple, the two ridings around Temple have new MPs. Eglinton Lawrence, technically Temple's riding, is still a liberal riding with Vince Gasparo having won that riding for the Liberals. Yesterday on Yom Ha'atzmaut, I was at City Hall for the raising of the Israeli flag in solidarity with um, with Canada and Toronto's Jewish community, who are so connected to the state of Israel, organized by um, local city councilors. And thank you to James for arranging that again this year. But I was pleased to meet Vince for the first time at that event. The mayor, again, for 2 years in a row, has chosen not to attend this event. I will write her today, having written her in advance, explaining why she ought to be there. Not that I expected her to listen, but it was very meaningful to me to see Vince there, even before he's taken office, as a display of what I knew from others as well, of his longtime connection to our community. Um, long before he was even running for public office. And so I appreciated seeing him there. And Roman Baber defeated Ayala Sachs at York Center, the other riding pretty much adjacent to Temple. Um, and it's a new parliament and a new prime minister. I think we're about to see who he actually is in his first news conference today. Um, and I, uh, I have no faith in any government. What I have faith in is action. Is I plan on working to develop relationships, active relationships, with both of our local MPs and our local MPP, Michelle Cooper, um, and really believe that this is the time where each of us needs to continue to reach out personally, not only when there's something to speak about, to connect to those who claim to represent us and demand that, just as in the hierarchy of needs created by Maslow, nothing comes before safety. The security and safety of our Jewish community must be a priority, and a priority in action, not in words, of those who have been elected um, to represent us, especially since each and every one of the people that I've mentioned talked about bubble laws and other actions to protect the Jewish and other communities being something they support. So it's time for us to continue our local activities, and we'll be reaching out more with ideas and tools in doing that, um, in order to make sure that on an ongoing basis, we are able to move forward and to make a difference for our Jewish community who lives in this challenging and tenuous time. If that's a significant moment, look, I was really stunned when I read on Facebook and then in friends of mine's posts, and then in major Jewish media about how on the eve of Remembrance Day, while the Reform Synagogue in Ra'anana was hosting an event that I can talk more about because I have, to see what it was like, attended this event once while I've been in Israel, with my good friend Rabbi Naomi, who helped to establish the Reform presence in Beersheba that we support, Rabbi Nomi Efrat. Um, it is a political and edgy event. It's an event that's been going on for 20 years that acknowledges the suffering of Jewish Israelis and the suffering of Palestinian civilians. But it's not about the event. It's about the fact that while the event, which took place for the 20th consecutive year in Tel Aviv, was being broadcast and people were coming to watch it in the Reform congregation in Ra'anana, that right-wing hooligans, in this case, directly representing the Likud party, the party of Israel's prime minister, a local branch of the party, were coming to disrupt. And that was known in advance. The leaders of our movement reached out to the police, and the police sent police, five staff. There ended up being 200 hooligans who physically broke into the Reform synagogue and assaulted individuals there. And then when the police didn't know how, nor had the will to disperse them, the police had to escort the participants to their cars, where they were again assaulted. Orly Erez Lechovsky, a very good friend and leader of our reform movement and our Center for Religion and State in Israel, who was attending the program in support of the local congregation, had the window of her car shattered with a rock that hit her and ended up being treated in the hospital and released. And no public figure has said, regardless of whatever the content, and this content, while politically edgy, again, is an event that's been taking place for 20 years in Israel, and that nothing, in my opinion, um, could possibly justify breaking into a synagogue and beating up the Jews in the synagogue who have gathered there for a program. But that's what happened. It was done by the Likud party. It has not been addressed by a single member of Israel's government, and the local Ra'anana government was basically supportive of the protesters, excuse me, the rioters, the hooligans. Um, and so I see, what can we do? This is why this represents not only the extreme right elements in the current government in Israel, but how those extreme right elements have taken over some mainstream parties, like in this case, the Ra'anana branch of the Likud party. So this is why in an upcoming Canadian World Zionist Organization election, we must show up in huge numbers. We must vote and get others to vote reform in this election, because it's not only the far right-wing parties that will turn the monies we give through Federation and other Israeli monies away from pluralist and socially inclusive projects and move them toward the forces who carried out this assault, and move them toward those who reject the very existence of progressive Zionism and Reform Judaism. And this is the sign that we must act. So I'm counting on all of you to be among those who will help us in our phone campaign to get out the vote. This is not about joining Arts of Canada. This is literally about that Canada is assigned a certain number of representative seats, and every vote that we get out means maintaining our influence, or we must grow our influence. And there are many who are allied against us, as we have seen what happened. There's no question that others are signing up huge numbers, and we must do the same. We've already been planning our campaign at Temple, and we'll be reaching out to some of you here who've already volunteered. But this really is a way to make a difference and to stand not with the hooligans and not with those who would destroy Israeli society and Jewish unity in Israel and worldwide, but standing with Israel's soldiers, standing with those who fight for an Israel that is a Jewish and democratic state, not a state where individuals can be assaulted inside a synagogue for attending a program. Israel was created to be a place to free Jews of this, and we can't allow it to further become a place where this kind of pogrom takes place again. The Israeli soldiers fight for a state that is not that state, and we must fight as well. Let's say our prayer for the soldiers and those who stand on guard for us. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל ושאר מגיני עמנו העומדים על משמרתם. ישמרם הקדוש ברוך הוא ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיהם. ויקוים בהם הכתוב, וכיתתו חרבותיהם לעתים וחניתותיהם למזמרות, לא יישאו גוי לגוי חרב, ולא ימדון עוד מלחמה, וישבו איש תחת גפנו, ותחת תאנתו, ואין מחריד, ונאמר, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless the soldiers of the IDF and all who defend our people. May the Holy One guard them against all difficulty and distress, injury and illness. May all of their actions bring blessing, fulfilling the prophet's words. Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Let nation not lift up sword against nation, and may they learn war no more. May all sit under a vine or fig tree, with none to make them afraid. And together we say, Amen. Please join me in our prayer for those who are ill and injured, those in our family and circle of community and friends, as well as those forcibly isolated, the hostages still being held by Hamas, which means that all of us, all their families, are being held hostage as well. And so for those names given to me and given to Temple, those names placed in the chat and this and other services, we join in these words of Urefu'ah. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל, הוא ירפא את כל מכותינו. יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו, להחל עמם לרפאותם, וישלח לנו מהרה רפואה שלמה, ועטרת שלום, ונאמר Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength, reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and let us say together, Amen. Well, it's very meaningful for us to have this time to connect and to reflect. And now we take the time to remember, recalling those who died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. During the last 30 days, the period of Shloshim, we extend our condolences to the families of Nora Boyd, Irving Feldman, Judy Gert. We also remember all victims of war and terror, including Israeli IDF soldiers who have whose lives have been lost in this renewed war that Hamas will not allow the end of. Galeb al-Nasasra, Asaf Kafri, Ido Voloch, Neta Yitzchak Kahana. And on Yahrzeit, on the anniversary of their deaths on this fourth day of Iyar, 2nd of May, 2025, we honor the life and legacy on Yahrzeit of Harold Nathan Ackler, Louise Kornblum, Esther Yetta Epstein, Lena Goldstein, Fanny Gozovitz, Paul Michael Meyer, Alec Miller, Hyman Polanski, Thomas Samari, Bernice Bryna Vader. Zichronam Levracha, may their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chaye dechol bet Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman kariv v'mu Amen. Yehesh Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'mu. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'mu. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mumav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'mu. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Well, it's been very meaningful being here with you today. Please do join us on Shabbat, where in honor of the anniversary of the declaration of the State of Israel, we'll be honoring Israel's principles and celebrating Israel's legacy, and celebrating Israel's reality, as well as acknowledging the challenges that lie ahead for us. Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. See you online at 6:30 tonight. Make it a good one.